When all three heads turned in the direction of the sound, they saw Senior Mrs. Prescott. "You girls want a roper in your gossip," she teased. "You come with me. Let's go and have that chat," she said, pulling Ophelia along with her. "I'm so glad that fate brought you to us, you know," Mrs. Prescott said, pulling Ophelia to a sofa that she found. "You know I used to know your mother, right? But we lost touch after some years. I always told my husband I wanted Alex to marry from that family, and somehow Alex found his way to you." Sophia smiled. "Thank you, Mom," she said. "So tell me one thing. How was the honeymoon?" Alexander's mom said with a tinge of mischief in her voice. "Oh, Mom, the honeymoon was nice," Ophelia responded. "You mean the honeymoon was just nice? No other thing aside from it being nice?" Mrs. Prescott said, studying Ophelia's face carefully. "Yes, Mother, it was nice. It was beautiful. We went to different places. We went to Rome. We went to Venice. Those were my dream places to go to, and Alexander fulfilled that for me," Ophelia explained. "So, nothing else happened? What about at night? Did my son—" Mrs. Prescott said, gesturing with her hand. Ophelia blushed instantly. I can't talk about that, Mother," she stammered. "Why? Talk to me, or he didn't touch you?" she asked wide-eyed. "Mother, you know that we're just getting to know each other, and the wedding was sudden for me, and I told him to give me some time." "Ophelia, my darling, don't stay too long. You know that we need to hear the cry of a baby soon. Hold my grandchildren in my arms. So if you know you are still thinking about it, conclude your thinking quickly and get to the business, because we need children." "I've heard you, Mother," Ophelia responded with a giggle in her voice. "I didn't know that you both would be coming. I would have brought something along with me, but I will definitely visit you guys in London. But for now, why don't you follow me to my room? I have something to give you," her mother-in-law said. Her mother-in-law led her to the room. "Ophelia, sit down here," she said, gesturing for her to take a seat on one of the sofas, which Ophelia did. Her mother-in-law went inside and brought a ceramic bowl to her. The woman brought it in front of her. "This is for you," her mother-in-law said. "Oh, Mother, thank you so much," she said excitedly, collecting the gift from her mother. "No, why don't you look inside the bowl? Open it and look inside," her mother-in-law instructed. She opened the lid and found rubies in them, both earrings and rings, jewelry of all types made of rubies and gold. They were so beautiful. Surprise mixed with excitement was evident on her face. She looked up at her mother-in-law. "Mother, thank you so much," Ophelia hugged her mother-in-law. "I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Mom. I still have more to give you when we get back to London. And besides, you are my only daughter-in-law. Who would I give it to if not you? I plan to spoil you rotten, my sweetheart," her mother-in-law said, cupping her face in her palm. "When Alexander told us that he was interested in a girl and he was going to get married quickly to her, I was excited. And I was even more excited when he told me that you were from that family. I know my son, he's a very good man, and he has a good head on his shoulders. So I know he picked right. I have no doubt he'll take care of you." "Oh, Mother, isn't this too much? This is not even enough. Wait until I give you the one I have planned for your wedding gift. Then you'll know which of them is much, Ophelia, darling." "Oh, Mother, don't spoil me." Ophelia had never experienced such love from a mother before. This was foreign to her, so this woman even making her feel loved was something she was uncomfortable with. "I will spoil you, my daughter," her mother-in-law insisted. Suddenly there was a knock, and guess who walked through the door? It was no other than Alexander. He looked at both women. "Mother, I'm missing my wife. You kept her away for too long. When I came back and I didn't see her, I knew that the two of you would be here," he commented. "By the way, my wife, I hope Mother did not tell you how bad I used to be." Ophelia began to laugh instantly, and so did his mother. "But you know better than anyone that Mother would never say something like that. And besides, you know yourself and you know your mom. She would never tell me your husband is a bad man. That I would have to find out for myself," Ophelia said, and her mother-in-law looked at her. "You're such a smart girl. I like you," her mother-in-law complimented her. "Thank you so much, Mom," Ophelia responded. So Alexander pulled her up from the sofa and also took the ceramic bowl. "Let's go keep this properly somewhere. I would like you to meet some of my uncles," he said to her. "Do so," his mother said. Alexander led his wife out of the room and shut the door. Coming to the living area, he saw Orlando, who was his driver in Tuscany. He spoke to him in rapid Italian, handing him the bowl. "If I don't find it, know that your head will leave your shoulders," Alexander warned. Ophelia looked at him, and he was no longer his cheerful, happy-go-lucky self. He was a boss in that moment, especially with the way he gave his driver a warning. She hadn't noticed before, but this was something that made her fall even deeper for Alexander. The fact that he seemed to control the world pulled her to him even more. "Sir, I will protect this with my life," his driver said, and Alexander laughed, more like an evil laugh. But if Ophelia wasn't looking at him, studying him so closely, she would have thought he was brushing off what he had said earlier. His driver must know him well. "You take us home later, okay, Orlando?" "Okay, boss, I'm here anytime you need me," he said, almost saluting Alexander. Alexander began to introduce them one after the other. "These are my father's brothers, Alfonso, Antonio. That other one is Christopher, Nelson, and Sebastiano." Alexander pointed quickly at each uncle. He looked at her to see if she was picking up the names, but she seemed more confused than ever. He laughed. "Okay, I know this is a bit difficult to remember all these names all at once, but these are my uncles. Uncles, this is my wife, Ophelia, the only woman in my life. No other woman can ever occupy that space." They all looked at her. "Our daughter, you're welcome to this family. Don't worry, you don't need to be self-conscious. Be yourself. We all joke around in this family. We laugh together and make fun of each other," Uncle Christopher said. All the other uncles nodded their heads in agreement. "May I say that you are so beautiful? We now see the reason why Alexander left the house and did not choose a girl from Italy but a girl from the UK. It's because you are so beautiful. Even if we had someone as beautiful as you, we would never leave her." All the uncles laughed at Uncle Antonio's comment. "I would like this you're coming home. We would like a wedding reception as we miss the wedding proper because the family must know that Alexander is married and his wife is also here with him," Bernardo said. Ophelia kept nodding at everything they were saying as Alexander held her hand firmly. "This is such a brilliant idea, uncles. Thank you," he said simply. He turned to his wife. "I think we should leave now." "Won't you eat, Alexander?" his uncles asked. "Okay, we will eat first before we leave." The couple smiled at their uncles. "I just need to take her to do one or two things in town." "Oh, we see. Will you be back here, or are you going back to your villa?" another uncle asked. "If we're done early, we'll come back to the family house. If not, then we'll head straight to the villa," he explained to them. "Anyway, Alexander, we are here, and we are so happy that you brought her along with you," the uncles commented. "Thank you, uncles. We'll leave now," he said once again as he pulled his wife along with him. As Ophelia left, she could hear the uncles' comments. "Is she a model? She's so beautiful. Look at her eyes. She looks like an angel." These were all the comments Ophelia could hear as they left. Alexander looked at his wife and smiled at her, and she reciprocated. "I wish I could kiss you here," he said. "Take it easy, Romeo. Let's get into the car first," she said coyly. "Oh, are you feeling shy now?" he said, halting. He turned towards her, grabbed her by her waist, pulling her to himself for her to feel him and his need for her. He kissed her deeply. She did not even realize when she curled her hands around his neck, longing for more. When he broke the kiss, he held her to steady her as she gulped in air and leaned into him. He led her to the car, which Orlando already had ready for them to enter. "Orlando, we're going to the villa," he ordered. His wife looked at him and giggled a little. "But I thought you told the uncles that you'd be going into town," she said, not understanding why they were going to the villa now. "Didn't you see all the noise? I needed to take you out of there. It was becoming too tedious for me. That's why I hardly love to stay in the main house," he explained. "I understand you perfectly," Ophelia remarked. "So, what do we eat?" Ophelia asked. Don't worry, they're preparing something at the villa for us. The food will be prepared 247, just like here, and we can enjoy that. Okay, thank you. They were chatting until they got to the villa. As soon as they got there, one of the guards spoke in Italian to Alexander, explaining something to him. Ophelia left them alone, going into the villa. This villa wasn't as complicated as the castle they left in London. She got to their room and opened the door, and there was a young man in his boxer briefs. As soon as she began to scream, Alexander ran upstairs to the room.